Hey, welcome to the very first episode of Trust in the Drive podcast. We are excited today to have our guest, Cori Wilson, who is a current employee at Ilderton Dodge. And we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to go through some stuff in the automotive industry. We're going to get some exciting news and updates on the last call chargers and some of the electrified Jeeps. We're going to also go through some great things that are going on in our local community of High Point, with a food truck that drives around and serves a lot of amazing people. And we're also going to get to know Cori firsthand about what she does at the dealership and what her journey was going through getting hired and being here 3 years later working at as a top executive at our company. And we're so excited to have y'all on our very first episode, Trust in the Drive. Here we go. I have, this amazing guest with me, Cori Wilson, and I really want to dedicate this episode to our sponsor, Hope City Food Truck, and you'll learn more about them. Me and Cori got to spend some time with them, throughout the years of our careers, and they're a great company. I love
Hope City so much. They're so amazing, and the food is so delicious.
They got some good food.
They really do.
But here on Trust in the Drive, we have, a great topic we're going to discuss today, and that's going to be turnover in the automotive industry. And a little bit about, backstory with Cori is that she was probably one of the first people I ever hired, from start to finish. I got her application in, I remember, and I was able to, get her on the cell phone, and I was like, hey, come on by, stop.
Yep. We did the first phone interview, and I think 3 days later, we scheduled the in-person interview.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Good. I like to see that. One thing I really wanted to talk about is there was a need for you to be hired.
Yeah.
And in that time, there was a big leadership change at our company, which caused, a little bit of turnover. And that's a big thing that'll trigger it when a top level executive, like a GM, or a service manager goes and works for another dealership or does another career path. Some people may follow.
Yeah.
Other people, leave because they don't feel like the person they've been working for is going to be there anymore to help take care of them. So I had an advantage of finally hiring some people as soon as that leadership left our company. I remember back in, what was the year? Do you
2020.
remember?
Yeah.
It was in 2020?
Yeah.
It was the beginning of 2020.
Yep, because I think we did the interviews in January, and my official start date was February 3rd.
One thing I know, when we talk about leadership and top level executives, you think of they're supposed to take care of the company, and just because they've made the company profitable, or made the company and the different divisions that they've worked for profitable, it doesn't mean that they're exactly a good leader.
Exactly.
So anyway, one of these things that I transitioned to is as I became a middle manager when I first was able to hire you.
Yeah.
And that was a learning curve in myself. So I sit down with Cori and I start asking her questions. I think I asked you, where'd you go to school, and a little bit about your background, and your personality immediately just jumped off the page and into my mind.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I had a need because we had such a demand for the business that we were in with some of the transit vans and big commercial vehicles that we were selling. And I couldn't keep up with the keys. I couldn't keep up with the titles.
DMV work.
The DMV
everything
work.
out. Yeah.
What else? We had
it was the crazy incoming inventory.
Incoming dead batteries.
Oh my gosh.
It's just dead batteries. Remember that? What was your, I actually hired you through a temp agency.
Yeah, Apple One.
Apple One. Shout out Apple One.
Yeah. So that was good. I liked them as a temp agency. They were pretty great. And the whole process of moving in with you guys was really smooth as far as temp agencies goes, because I've worked for previous temp agencies where it was a lot harder.
Yeah.
So just the beginning stages of coming into Ilderton was really smooth getting in.
So you're this college graduate, and you're going and working for a temp agency, and you're looking for a career path. And what was the entry level pay that Apple One was going to pay you?
I think it was $14.50.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a lot more than I was previously getting paid. So
And that like shocks me just for the amount of talent that I saw
Yeah.
like right out. So like when I first met you, and I did have this like, like, okay, I want to, push to hire this person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but I didn't necessarily know what I was doing because I was still like early in my middle management career. So I signed this agreement with Apple One to move forward with you, and I think we paid some, we paid them some fee or whatever. But that was when we started working together. So what did you feel like on your first day?
On my first day, it was pretty hectic, only because it was the end of the month. Like, it was the first day of the end of the month week.
The end of the month.
So it was hard training that first week, just because the focus was not necessarily training. It was kind of closing out the month of January. So it was like I kind of had to get around. And it's a very emotional time during end of the month for a lot of people.
It honestly, it controls probably some of the mindset I have, whether, it's either how spiritual I'm going to be or how happy I'm going to be or how sad I'm going to be.
Depends on what all you got to get done during that time frame.
That's right. It's like there's only one timeline for a car dealer, and that's the end of the month.
Yeah, got to get everything closed out and finished for the end. That's the most important time of the month, is to get everything done.
So you're getting hired during a hectic time, and kind of the environment you're walking into on the first day. What do you remember?
I remember everybody was super friendly, like the people who didn't really have to deal with end of the month, but the kind of upper management, like middle management, sort of, it was a little harder to get some education from them, only because the primary focus was end of the month at the time. But I mean, outside of that first week, everybody was really great. I remember specifically walking around with you, I think on like the second or third day, and I told you how previously at other jobs, most of the managers didn't know everybody's names.
Right.
And I love the fact that you went around and everybody knew your name and you knew everybody's name and y'all had like a good rapport with each other. So I'm like, okay, that means that the management is not like, here and kind of big-headed. That means you understand and you conversate and you converse with your employees, really. Like, you get to know them and get to understand them so they can be a good working relationship. So that's what I really liked. And I think that was like the main reason I went home and told my mom. I was like, Mom, I like it here. I like it. Like, they actually are going to pay attention to their employees. That's the type of management I want to be under.
And that's what is so amazing about how, if you start like at the bottom, or if you start in a certain department and you work your way up, I think you can grow a good relationship with your coworkers.
Yes.
One of the big things is I wanted to point out is there's no like local class at the community college that I have, like local family car dealership 101 is not a class offered at the community college. And so a lot of people that I noticed when they get hired at the dealership is they haven't ever worked at a dealership before. They've worked in another industry, and there's a huge learning curve.
Yeah, I worked in healthcare before I came over here, so it was completely different.
Did you know what a VIN number was before you worked at a dealership?
No, I didn't even know where to find the VIN number on my car.
Yeah. That's a huge deal. That's like how our life revolves around.
Yeah, I was like, and then I learned new things. Like, now I can go up to anybody's car and tell you what the year is at least, because before I was like, I don't even know how you identify the car outside of asking.
So did you enjoy your on-site training that you were getting?
It wasn't bad. I think, of course, we discussed this previously, that things could have been done a little bit differently, only because it was just so hectic coming in and everybody wasn't fully prepared for me to come in. But I think that as we progressed, the training got a lot easier and it got a lot smoother. It just wasn't the best in the beginning. It was a little rocky, but we made it through, and I learned a lot. I'm a fast learner, and I did have some good teachers when everybody was available to teach.
I think the fast-paced lifestyle of a dealership can really throw a middle manager off, or a hiring manager off, because of the different timelines, whether it be the end of the month or customer shows up and wants to buy something, or, and then all of a sudden a new hire shows up and you're the man that's supposed to, or you're the woman that's supposed to have this workstation ready for this new hire, and you're supposed to have like this schedule for them to train. And I was thrown a huge curveball when that happened. I didn't really know what I was doing when I hired you.
Because I think my first day I didn't have a computer.
You didn't even have a computer. I was like, hey, welcome to Ilderton.
It was just a blank desk.
You just want to hang out? Like, these are the cars. Go look at these cool cars, That was,
I think it took about a week to get the computer in the CPU and everything. But it was nice. The good news is like we had all the websites set up for me to log in. I
There we
just
go.
didn't have a
Had the
computer.
logins ready. There we go. Yeah.
I think I used your laptop for the
Sweet.
first couple of days.
I love it. See? And that's thinking on the spot right there.
Yeah.
We were gonna make it happen. We were gonna develop no matter what. And I definitely had that mindset going into it. It's like I wanted to give it my all. Like I did not want this person to fail.
Yeah.
And I think I take it a little personally if somebody, quits at the dealership or goes and works somewhere else and they were hired by me. I like truly think I failed that person because I didn't. But I've been told by other executives that's not always the case. But I do want people to succeed, and you have brought in a lot of success to the dealership, which has in turn made me look like I did the right thing by hiring you. Did you ever think that you would work in a dealership growing up, or did you have any?
No. So I never thought I'd work in a dealership, and I never thought I would be where I'm at in a dealership at this point. Because when I first got hired here, I was, of course, like wanting to do more and go further and, of course, go higher as I could. But I never saw myself in the finance manager position. Like that wasn't in my line of sight at the time.
What are you currently doing at the dealership like today?
Basically, my role is just to figure out the best bank based on your credit score and your credit history for you to go with. And then between those banks that I think are a good option, figure out what's going to be the best interest rate for you and a payment that you're comfortable with.
Okay. So like I'm coming in, I'm like, I want the new Charger. It's the red one. And I know what I can spend. I think I know what I can spend because I did some research online. And then the car salesperson says, here's the one we have. Do you want to do it? Do you want to move forward with the purchase? And then the next step is what? Go to you?
So no, the next step is technically the car salesperson gets all of your information. Okay. Then they either bring it to me or our other finance manager, and we get it submitted into the DMS system. We go through and we submit it only to banks that we think are going to give you an approval or at least a conditionally approved deal.
Yeah.
This way, we don't want you to get any declines. We're trying to really, because the whole point of this job is that we're supposed to know what banks suit what customers. So we're only sending you to banks that we think are going to meet the needs that you are asking for. And then if you don't get approved, then we'll ask you if you need, like, would you like to try an additional bank? Would you like to try something else? Like, if we try to find ways to make this work for you if we can. So after that's done and then you're comfortable with the interest rate and you're comfortable with the terms and everything, then we start going over to the amazing products that we offer that can cover your vehicle for things like mechanical or electronic repairs, or like GAP in case you get in a total loss accident, or if you're somebody who's not that great of a driver, then complete protection because you hit a lot of potholes or you happen to hit a lot of sidewalks and things like that. So there's so many great products, and the products are the best part of the job to me because it not literally saves people's lives, but they feel like their lives have been saved because you call in for a repair and it's like, do I have a vehicle service contract? You do. Oh my God, I have one. Yeah. And they're so excited. And I'm happy to tell you that you have one because all you got to do is pay $100 for your repair instead of paying $1,700 or $2,100. Yeah. That's a lot easier to come out of pocket than $2,100. And I like hearing that people are so happy that they have these products. So that's probably my favorite part, is just like telling you about the products, you being interested, purchasing it, and then using it later down the line.
So you kind of, you like advocate for the customer a little bit, like when they come in and they're ready to make this big financial decision, and then you're going to be like their coach. You're going to coach them through this financial decision to tell them like, this is what you probably can afford, or like, this is what we want to,
100%.
We want to offer you just in case something happens, you get in a wreck, or there's all these different add-ons.
And I try to give real-life examples from either myself or my friends and family, or either from customers who've given me permission to kind of not persuade people, but just get you to understand the importance of the product just and educate. Why it's valuable. Because some people, you listen to some of the crazy TikTokers who tell you don't purchase anything from car dealers and things like that, and they're not really knowledgeable, so they're giving out wrong information.
They probably bought from Carvana, and they're still waiting on their title, probably.
My mother bought from Carvana, and that was a whole different experience.
Yeah, that's a whole episode. That's like episode 10, 11, and 12. Right?
They bought my brother's car back in December of 2020, and they didn't get the tag and the title for the vehicle because they paid cash for it until June of 2021.
There you go.
Why did it take so long?
Yeah, so that brings up a good point too. Like, you want to make sure that all the paperwork's right, because you're going to send it to the bank, and you're going to send it to the North Carolina DMV or the South Carolina DMV or wherever they're going.
Because we do out-of-state deals
And
as
that
well.
little metal thing that goes on the back of their bumper is important. That gives them the authority to drive on our roads.
Yes.
So that's got to be straight.
Everything.
And you do something?
And
you
I
help
also,
in that?
Yep. I also basically, because we have this cool system that lets us know, we're able to check your driver's license number or your VIN number to see if you have anything going on with your DMV account. And I can let you know before we even get to the DMV process, hey, there are some things on your account that you should probably get cleared up that will delay your tag work. So I'm letting you know ahead of time,
right?
Like, hey, this will cause your 30-day tag work to be delayed longer than 30 days because you have this issue going on with your account. Whereas I know that other dealers really don't ever tell their customers that. They just kind of like, okay, we're going to go to the DMV for you, and boom. And then the customer calls like 45 days later, like, hey, I don't have a tag. And they're like, oh, you have a fee on your DMV account.
They call and they say, I want to speak to Christopher Ilderton right now. I said, I need to talk to him right now.
And they get so upset. I feel like it's just full honesty. I'm telling you everything that you need to know so that this can be the smoothest car buying process for you.
Yeah.
Because we're not the bad guys. We're only here to help you and extend our family love to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it.
So you're kind of a big deal now.
I mean,
I think
in a humble way. In a very humble way.
I would say so. Well, that's pretty cool. So 3 years finance manager, Ilderton Dodge, Chrysler Jeep Ram, and you've also been a great friend of mine throughout the automotive career that I've had.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, Cori, thank you so much.
Thank you. I think you've been my biggest supporter, like, the entire time.
Well, it's nice to have companionship in the workplace, and when you have something that we can we kind of grew up together a little bit in the car business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's always nice that you're a very trusted advisor for me as far as like the financials go of buying cars or knowing what the interest rates are, which we're going to get more into that in a little bit.
Yes.
But I do want to bring up, so me and you talked earlier in the episode about the sponsorship of our first episode of Trust on the Drive. And that was through Hope City Food Truck.
Yeah.
Okay. So Hope City Food Truck's a local High Point food truck, and they go around the community and they have this Christian-based background where they feed the community if there's ever an event around town or if they want to just help anybody in need that's like dealing with hunger, or if they just want to be at the party and people want to come buy food from their amazing food truck, they're going to show up. Tell me, you were there. We did an event with them, a first responders event at the dealership on South Main Street in downtown High Point. And we had, do you remember that? Yeah,
event? I think it was in maybe June or July. It was definitely summertime because it was really hot outside. And it was during the peak of COVID where everything was really like shut down.
Yep.
Everybody is still kind of like bunkered into their houses on quarantine so nobody gets COVID, and nobody really considered much of the first responders, doctors and nurses who don't get to be bunkered down, protected in their homes with their friends and family. They're kind of out there at risk being exposed to everything else. So I thought it was really great of you guys to offer that kind of thing to the doctors and nurses, and I thought it was amazing that Hope City Food Truck wanted to participate. The food was amazing, their customer service was amazing, and it's just watching them interact with people and people interacting with them and then learning more about them was so cool to see.
Yeah, so we sponsored this like first responders deal. So if anybody from the hospital that wanted to come or anybody from the fire department, we got a hospital and a fire department and a police department real close by, they could come by and get a free meal. Mm-hmm. And the dealership, what they would do is they paid for the meal, and then I think we spent about, I don't know what the exact amount was, but we bought 100 meals, let's say, for the first responders in the community. And we sold out of food. I just remember that. Like the food truck ran out of food, and so we couldn't serve any more people, which was like success.
Amazing, amazing.
And that turned to about 200 meals for another community event elsewhere in our city that were anyone who wanted to come and get fed didn't have to pay anything. And that's what Hope City Food Truck does. Yeah. They take whatever they get and they try to multiply it into feeding the hungry. And they do it, like with a Jesus mindset or like a Christian mindset. And it's ran by Hope City Church, which is a great church out in Wahlberg. And they have a great pastor named Scott Newton. Shout out Scott Newton. He does an amazing job. And And the food is amazing.
Food is worth standing in line for, rain or shine, hot or cold. It's good food.
And that's going to transition us into our third segment, which is going to be, I really want this Trust in the Drive podcast to be automotive based.
Yeah.
You know, we are a local family car dealership that's been around for 97 years, and we've had 4 generations working there, you know, being there in the trenches for the good times and the bad times. That's like, you know, that's the Great Depression. 97 years ago that was the Great Depression.
That's
and
crazy to think
now
about.
It's 2023. That's a long time. And a lot has changed in the automotive industry, and we want to update everyone about the changes that are happening. And if anyone knows this, I would be surprised. But like Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, Ram is known as what? It's known as Stellantis.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, most people don't know that.
People don't know that. You know what I mean? Like when I say Stellantis, like
what's
when I go to a
Stellantis?
Party, they're like, "What is Stellantis?" And I'm like,
Because everybody just kind of considers it as Mopar, but they don't understand that Stellantis is Mopar.
Yeah.
Like, Mopar falls under Stellantis.
Correct. And I think people in the car business understand.
Yeah.
So when we say Stellantis, we're talking about all the brands that we represent at the dealership.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the big brands that we represent is Jeep. Yeah. That's like the most popular one, it seems like. Everybody wants the Jeep, and they're awesome. And
who doesn't want a Jeep?
I know, they're beautiful cars. And their big push now is electric.
Mm-hmm.
They're full, like they want to be all electric. They want to put muddy Wranglers in water and drive them through the rivers. This is what we're trying to do now. So it's our job to make sure that we have the, you know, stock vehicles ready to go, and we're going to educate the customers about them. So what have you been seeing in the finance office lately with electric Jeeps? Like, have you seen a lot of people buying Jeeps lately?
So yes, and there's actually a lot more incentives. I think right now the biggest incentive that we did was there's a $7,500 rebate if you purchase a Jeep Wrangler 4xe.
Oh, sweet. That's
so
cool.
And a lot of people don't understand that that's really big, and even though you're not getting that cash back, you're going to get it back in your taxes.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
A lot of people who are finding that out are coming in to purchase the Wranglers, and because Wranglers are just amazing vehicles in itself.
They're quiet.
Exactly.
They went from a loud vehicle to a quiet vehicle.
And you can still go off-roading and do all those fun things if you want to, or you can be a pavement princess like other people.
I saw this post on our Instagram about the owner, who's Tim Ilderton. He's my dad, and he was driving through Emerwood, the neighborhood we live in, on a 4xe. Yeah. And then it was the day it had rained before, so it was a little muddy, you know. And it was hilarious. If you please go to our page and check it out, Tim Ilderton riding around in an electric Jeep, 4-wheeling in the neighborhood. Also, I want to say, what's the range expectation for an electric vehicle through Jeep?
I think right now, the max that I had saw was between like 30 to 36 miles electric.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And then, like, if it's more than that, then I will come back and correct myself. But I would think right now the range is between 30 to 36 miles for electric before you switch over to gas.
Yeah. What's your opinion on how long it takes to charge up? Like, have you ever taken one home yet and tried to charge it up at home?
No, unfortunately not. But I did see, depending on the type of charger that you have, because there's 2 different chargers, the one that they provide you takes a little bit longer. But if you get the one that's installed into your home, that one's more of a fast charger.
Like a supercharger, like
yeah,
level 2,
that one will
I think
charge.
they call it.
I think so.
Yeah.
So I think that one charges within like 2 to 4 hours max.
Yeah.
And then when you have the one that you actually have to plug in, that takes about maybe like 3 to 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah. So when I took a 4xe home, the charger came with the car, the level 1 charger, and that was like about an 8-hour charge. And I could just plug it into my, outlet in the wall, and I plugged it into the car, and it charged. It was great. It worked out. I mean, I was sleeping, so I didn't really need the car.
I think that's kind of cool though. It's like you plug in your phone.
Yeah, it's like plug in my phone. Yeah, same thing. Yep. And then I don't live far from where I work, so I was able to commute to my house and back and forth and work, and pick up the kids from school. And I didn't have to use any gas. So the 35 miles of range or the 40 miles of range worked for my lifestyle.
Yeah. And definitely if you live close to work or you don't travel as much, with that vehicle, electric vehicles do make sense because you won't have to focus on gas as much. You'll be able to run everything off of that electric power.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna switch to internal combustion engines. We're talking about Hemis here.
Yeah.
We're talking about 5.7 liter Hemis, 6.2 liter Hemis, 6.4 liter engines, big, loud engines. That is what Dodge has been known for.
Yeah.
Forever.
Not anymore.
There's the last call era.
Yes.
Is right now we're in the thick of it.
100%. The fact that a lot of people don't know that as of right now, all of the vehicles for 2023, that for the Dodge Challengers and Chargers, they are already being allocated out to the dealership. So you really can't go and order anymore. Yeah. If we don't have it, then the next dealer may not have it. It's just so hard to get them now because this is the last call. So if you're looking for those vehicles, definitely do heavy research to find a dealership that has them. But next year they won't be available.
Yeah, they're not going to be available for very much longer, from what I understand.
They're switching over to electric.
They're going to be
They're
electric
switching
charging.
over to that Hurricane engine.
Yeah, so the Hurricane engine, that's another interesting topic because that's a V6 twin turbo engine, and it does have a lot of horsepower. So I don't think it's going to lose a lot of like street cred. The Charger and Challenger is still going to have like that performance there. But as far as the, Hemi, like that's the famous name is everybody wants a Hemi.
No more Hemi. And a lot of people think it's not just the muscle cars either. It's also the Jeep Grand Cherokee and the Wagoneer that will no longer have the V8.
Correct.
And then for the Chryslers, the 300C will no longer have that either. So you have to think about all these things. If you're interested in having that Hemi, then this is the year, this is the time to go ahead and find a dealer and get it.
Yeah.
Because you will not be able to get it in 2024.
Yeah.
This is the last year.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool to see those customers come in the door, and I'm hoping that those customers will be, local residents because my wish is to see this car, from start, from 10 years from now while we take care of it, at our service department. Yeah. I really want to have that relationship with that customer. I want to know like what's going on with the vehicle. The worst thing that I think a dealer could do is to sell a car out of state. Yeah. Because they're going to lose that relationship with that customer, and they're never going to see him again. Yeah. And I want to be the one that changes your oil. I want to be the one that gives you a good multi-point inspection when you come to our beautiful service drive. So that's me being a little selfish, though. But as a finance manager, if someone was to come buy one of these last call Chargers or these electric Jeeps, what's the interest rates looking like? I mean, I turn on the news right now and everybody's like, interest rates, eggs, and like everything's so expensive. Like, oh my gosh, like, so
eggs are high, but the interest rates are not as high as eggs. So with interest rates,
can I trade in my dozen of eggs for an electric vehicle?
No.
I can't do that.
Unfortunately, the value's not the same.
Okay.
It wouldn't work.
Okay.
But interest rates, they're not as low as we would like them to be, but they're coming down. And then the thing I would like to really say is that with the mom and pop dealerships, the smaller dealerships that are not franchised, the interest rates that they get from the bank are set interest rates. Those cannot change.
Okay.
The good thing about us is because we have Stellantis as a bank, because we have Chrysler as a bank, and we're a franchise dealer, we have incentivized rates. We can do as low as 0% based off of your credit. We can do as low as 1.9, 2.9, 3.9, and 4.9. It's just when you have that opportunity of being a franchise dealer and you have all these cars and you have these banks, you're able to get the incentivized rates a little bit better than versus a mom and pop dealership down the street. So if so-and-so gets the same deal as us and you go through Chrysler's going to give you probably an 8 or 9% interest rate, where because we're a franchise dealer, and they look at your credit, they're going to say, oh, okay, well, you are qualified for that 1.9% interest rate.
So it's a big difference. The banks are more aggressive towards the buyers that come to a franchise local family dealership like Ilderton Dodge. That's good to know because I know it can save you a lot of money over the long run. Like
it really can.
These cars are expensive, and we want them to be affordable. This may be a shocker to some people, but do you know what the average car payment was like 4 years ago?
No, but I hope, at least in my world, it was $200 to $300.
$200-$300. So
it's not that now.
So the average car payment 4 years ago was $650. Wow. Yeah. So now the average car payment is about $950.
Yes. So I can attest to that 100%.
It just jumped up a lot.
Yeah.
So anyways, you're going to advocate for the buyer. You're going to look out for them. Cori Wilson is here. She's ready to help you out.
Always.
The local dealer and service director, Christopher Ilderton, right here is ready to help you out too. And guys, that's our first episode. We are so excited and we are so appreciative of you tuning in to us. And we look forward to giving you some more background, some more history, some more jokes, and maybe one day I will be able to, trade in a dozen eggs to get the last call charger.
If that's the case, I'm gonna trade in like 1,000,000 eggs so I can get a Wrangler.
But we're excited to have to bring you more automotive news in the future. And thanks again for joining us. We appreciate y'all.